Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey Wise with me, Jason, bringing you whiskey review number 5, where we're going to be reviewing the Glen Deveron 20-year-old, which I'm quite excited about, as this is a new one to my collection, as well as in the last video we did review the Glen Deveron 16. So we're continuing off from there, and we're going to review the Glen Deveron 20. Now we're going to pour ourselves a little dram into our whiskey fair glass. And if you did miss the other video, I'll cover a little bit of information about the Glen Deveron 20-year-old. Now, the Glen Deveron 20, or the Glen Deveron range that they have out at the minute in travel retail, is part of the Royal Burke collection. Now, that collection is basically a 16, a 20-year-old, which is this one, and a 30-year-old, which I actually haven't yet reviewed, which will be an upcoming video. Now, those are only exclusive for the travel retail market, and they are by the distillery of Macduff, which is owned by Bacardi. Now, so if you haven't missed that video, be sure to just track back a little bit, because I will be comparing a few of my notes initially to how I found the 16-year-old. And in terms over here, if you don't know about the Glen Deveron Macduff collection, it is a selection of the rarest whiskies hand-selected from the distillery's private reserve. It commemorates the Royal Burke of Banff and an ancient seaport besides our distillery, chartered by King Robert II of Scotland. Now, it's got the tasting notes exact same as the Deveron 16, except for just this last paragraph with the tasting notes. All the notes are pretty much the same. In terms of the maturation, it says we mature it using generous amounts of fine sherry oak casks to produce a fuller and fruitier taste. So very, very similar. Now, I do have a bit of water just in case, but I actually don't think it'll be necessary because, again, just like the 16, it is bottled at 40% ABV. Now, following my whiskey review structure, this is a 20-year-old whiskey. It is bottled at 40% ABV. In terms of the casks used, it is fine sherry oak casks. They don't specify exactly which ones, but they did say that on the boxing and nothing else on the bottle whatsoever. The company, or the distillery, is Macduff, and the parent company is Bacardi. Now, in terms of the actual price point of view, I paid for this one. This one I paid, I think it was 60. Well, I didn't pay $69.99. The price it was in the duty-free shop was $69.99, and I effectively paid £55 for it because I was saving up points whenever I flew through. So I actually got around about £15 off on this bottle, which I thought was really good value for money. And considering it's a 20-year-old whiskey and getting £55, I thought that was an absolute steal. Now, it is £70, and £70 even for a 20-year-old, because all the whiskies they had in their shop, they were ranging between that 20 years and above, were 20 to 21, were all around about £90 plus, 90 to £110. So straight away when I saw the 20 for 70, I was like, why is this at that price? And I was a bit, curious. And then when you taste the whiskey, gave me a brief idea into the profile of the whiskey and also the marketing strategy from the company. Now, in terms of, is it exclusive? Yes, it is an exclusive whiskey. And also, by the way, just to remember, if I haven't mentioned it, it is a 1 litre bottle. So you're getting a 1 litre instead of a 70 cl like most companies do as soon as you get over a certain age statement. Exclusive, yes it is, only to airports, so any port you're travelling through, you should be able to find this one. When I did go through Germany, through Cologne Airport, I did see the 16 and the 20, so I didn't see the 30, but I tried the 30 in Heathrow, so I'll have a review on that one as well soon. In terms of caramel colouring, that is a heated topic in the whiskey world. It does, well, it potentially could have caramel colouring. It is debated as it is bottled at 40%, but does look fairly similar to the 16, but as I said in the 16 review, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it is optional whether you want to debate that. So without further ado, we'll assess the whiskey. In terms of the colour perspective, again, it looks like that nice amber goldeny colour. I'd say it's a little bit more for copper. It's got a little bit of a slightly darker hue into it, so I'd say with a little bit of a darker amber. But let's assess the nose now of the whiskey. Let's get into the official whiskey review into the nose. So off on the nose, the notes we get. Okay, so unlike the Deveron 16, this one you actually get that toasted sort of cereal notes. It feels like it's slightly toasted, not heavily toasted. It's not a smoky whiskey, for those of you who are wondering, but those toasted notes are very notable. Straight away, that's the first impression of the nose. Now, second nosing we'll have. We're getting a lot of tropical fruits going on now. The first two that come to mind is a pineapple, because I'm getting a nice freshness from it. And the second one is a passion fruit. A little bit of a tanginess. And I was not too sure also to note if there's a citrus note behind there, but I'm going to stay with passion fruit and pineapple, because it is really interesting, this one. Again, you get that barley sort of malty notes, the cereal notes there. It is slightly toasted. You do get a little bit of a nuttiness, and they do describe in this one on the tasting notes hazelnut, and you can pick it out ever so slightly, but it's not the actual full hazelnut. This one actually just feels like the shells, so it does feel like a softly toasted hazelnut shells. But definitely I'm picking out those fruity notes, and that is really nice about this whiskey. So let's get onto the palate, understand exactly what we're tasting on this whiskey. Wow, that is, I know they say a 20-year-old whiskey, keep it for 20 seconds, but this one is rather interesting. No bite in the alcohol. The body for this whiskey is around about a medium, slightly pushing into that full bracket compared to where the 16 was a bit lighter than a medium. So you can definitely tell the maturity in this whiskey. Now, initial thoughts, you definitely get what I feel is more or less like a guava. It feels like the insides of a guava, but slightly closer to the peel. We get a little dryness, and then you get that pineapple coming back. It feels like a candied pineapple sort of taste that works its way around the palate. And then that little bit of hazelnut, and this time it's not the shell of the hazelnut, it's actually the inside. Much more softer, a little bit creamy, but not very. I'm really enjoying this one. I'm going to try another sip, second time on the palate. Second time on the palate, that nuttiness is there. It is present on the second time. More than the fruitiness, you get the nuttiness, and you can straight away instinctively tell it. Now, this is all tropical fruits, this one. This is tropical exotic fruits. They are making themselves known. I love the tasting notes on this, because they actually do have tasting notes on the back, and it does stay very consistent to those exact notes. But it's just about pulling out those extra little bit of added bits over there on the end. The whiskey in itself, I think on the palate, is very easy going. I'm going to go now and assess the finish, and personally on the finish, what I've noticed, you start off with the tropical fruits and you work your way into more or less dry fruits, and I'm picking out a little bit of a sultanas raisin, but it's not getting so heavy like a raisin, so I'm going to just try it again and exactly pinpoint exactly what I'm thinking. So it starts off, again you get the passion fruit there. Passion fruit, bit of guava, hint of that pineapple. Those exotic fruits, they're playing their role on there. And then it goes into a very succulent rum-soaked raisins. Well, I'd say sultanas because it's even more sweeter. And it's got that little bit of dryness that works its way around the back. A bit like the 16 where it had a little bit of dryness as well, but I thought it was maltiness that created that effect. And this one, it's definitely dry fruits. Also, you definitely get a longer finish on this one. This is more or less into that medium to long bracket, unlike the 16, which just sort of finished way too quickly. But one thing I like with this whiskey, if it was a little bit higher ABV, purely to get those more natural, rich flavors from this whiskey, just to extract that. But overall, in terms of whiskey-wise, the channel as well as in terms of the whiskey, this is a really nice whiskey. It does have a bit of complexity about it, so it's just, the 16 was fairly not really complex. This one is pushing that slight bracket into going into slightly complex. You're getting that, exotic fruits moving into the dry fruits, a little bit of a honey note over there. well, like I say, more or less maple syrup on the end, because it is not super thick in texture. I actually really enjoy this one, and you've got that slight toastedness as well to the hazelnuts, so you're exploring quite a few different flavor profiles, so it's really, really good. And in terms of you're buying a 1 litre bottle in overall comments for the whiskey, you're getting a 1 litre bottle for £70, which I think is fantastic value for money. And I'm not too sure if they're going to have any more promotions in the airports. If they do, I'll be more than interested, and especially in terms of the whiskey, I would most likely buy this one again because I think it's great value for money, especially for the profile of whiskey. So in terms of the actual, I was going to give it a different review and a different rating. I'm going to change it. Hope that's the right way up. I'm going to go with an 88. Now initially I was going to give it a little bit lower, but the way it just sort of develops and on the palate, it just feels like it's evolving even more, and I think that's something that I personally really enjoy in this whiskey. So definitely, if you're traveling through an airport or any sort of way, if you're traveling anywhere and you see this in a whiskey shop, or if you're traveling through an airport and you see that there, ask them to try it if they've got a sample. I think this is something that many people will like, especially if you've got a diverse palate. And if you want to explore other whiskies, this is a fantastic opportunity to find yourself something that's really, really nice. And I definitely would highly suggest try this one out. Let me know what you think. And if you've tried any of the Glen Deverons, including the 16 or the 30, be sure to let me know in the comment section. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter. And you can follow me up there, keep up to date, because I normally do tweet out every time I'm doing a review. And you probably will see that more often than not. So anyway, I hope you did enjoy the review. By all means, please do drop a like. Be sure to subscribe. And by all means, enjoy your whiskies, and I'll catch you all for the next videos. This has been Jason from Whiskey Wise. See you for the next video.